Hi, I'm Emily Bowen Cohen, and I am the author and illustrator of the graphic novel Two Tribes. And I'm so excited to be a nominee for a Texas Bluebonnet Award. I have some questions to answer, and let's get started. First one, what experiences from your own childhood living in Oklahoma as a member of the Muskogee Nation and living as a teen on the East Coast did you draw on for Mia's experiences? Well, when I was a teen in New Jersey, I was often the only Native American person that kids my age had ever met. A lot of times they asked me questions about my Muskogee heritage from drawing up from what they knew from books and movies. I felt like they challenged my identity as a Native person because they thought I should know certain things like how to shoot a bow and arrow, or how to do beadwork, or how to ride a horse. And that was just stuff they thought, all Native people knew. Mia confronts this at her school as well. Just like me, Mia remembers being a little girl in Oklahoma, and because of that experience, she knows in her gut that what the kids are saying to her isn't right for her and her family. And when she decides to go and visit her dad, she rediscovers the really many different ways that you can be a Native American person. Okay, number 2. This is a very personal story. What did you find most enjoyable to write about? What did you find most challenging to convey? Well, I found it most enjoyable and most challenging to write about Mia's father, Van. My own father died when I was just 9 years old. So it was challenging to write about someone who was so much like my dad, because I missed him so much. But it also was really enjoyable because it felt like, I had a chance to kind of talk to him again for the first time in a long, long time. Number 3, why did you feel that this was an important story to tell? What do you hope readers take away from this story? Well, I feel like Mia's story is important because there are so many people out there who feel like they're from two different worlds. You don't have to be Native American and Jewish specifically, I think, to relate to her story. Sometimes it can just be challenging to figure out where you fit. And what I hope readers come away with from the book is feeling excited to dive deeply into their own background. What can you learn about yourself by understanding more about your story and where you're from? Okay, number 4. You have told the story of your grandmother, a librarian, giving you the book, A Yellow Raft in Blue Water, about a Native American girl. In Two Tribes, Mia checks out a book called Little Indian Girl. Why did you choose to have her read one with such negative representation? And what do you think the role of librarians and literature play in readers understanding themselves and their heritage? I think this is a really, really important question, because Mia does read a book that just sort of reflects a lot of negative stereotypes. And I thought that it was important for Mia to read a book like Little Indian Girl because negative representations of American Indians inform a lot of American literature. The United States became a country by telling stories about scary, non-deserving Indians. And I'm using the word Indian because that's how they talked about people who were Native back then. These negative stories about Native Americans persist even today in popular culture. And I wanted Mia to face like the root of that right away so that she could better understand why, for example, like I mentioned before, students might expect that she knows how to use a bow and arrow. And literature has always been such a powerful way to learn about people that are unlike yourself. So I think it's important to bring up even the negative ones so you can see both where things were and where they are now. And a librarian's role is helping you to understand the context of those books that you read. They can help you answer the questions like, when was this book written? Who wrote it? And what was happening at the world at that time? And how might that affect the way some of the characters are portrayed? Number 5. Were there any funny or memorable moments in writing this book that highlight why you love being an author? Well, I love being an author because as I wrote about Mia reconciling her two identities, I had to do the same thing as well. Like Mia, I reunited with my Oklahoma family, and it was really important for me to do that, even though it was challenging, so that I could, learn the lessons I needed to learn, I guess. For example, when I went to Oklahoma, I was still referring to myself as a Creek Indian, and that's an old-fashioned way of saying the Muskogee Nation. And my cousins at the time gently let me know that today we prefer to be called the Muskogee Nation. And I think in another situation that would have been really embarrassing, but because the correction was made with a lot of grace, I was not embarrassed. I really love that I can share stories about the Muskogee tribe in a gentle way because of what they told me. I'm just really excited to put another version of Native people out in the world. Okay, what advice would you give to our young authors as they learn to improve their skills? Ooh, okay. Well, read a lot, definitely. Anything you can get your hands on, even the back of a cereal box, anything. You don't know where inspiration is going to come from. And I also really like to advocate for deep listening. When you're having a conversation with a friend, practice deep listening by putting down your phone, looking them right in the eye, and pay attention to when they use a lot of descriptive words or when they seem to react kind of emotionally, excited, angry, sad about what they're saying. That's a clue that something is really, really important to them. When they're done talking, reflect back to them about what you heard them say and that it seemed important to them, and ask them more questions about that. Follow up with them about that. Deep listening like that is a really good way to start to understand another person's point of view. And that's being a good friend, but it's also it's good detective work for when you start to think about creating a character who maybe doesn't think exactly like you do. Thanks a lot for all those great questions, and thanks again. Bye.